downside to it. Probably you'll print it out because it needs a signature.
It's a 24-hour report or 5 days?
This is the 5 days. But I want to talk about a couple changes here so you're all aware of this. This is only for sanitary sewer overflows and a treatment facility overflow. For the satellites, it's just going to be an SSO. For new water, it could be a TFO. But in that mix, there's blending and controlled diversions and bypasses. For the satellites, that doesn't concern you. And we have guidance on that, but I don't have that today. So anyway, there's a spot for putting that in your general, your permit number. The thing to notice up top is that public notification, and Dwayne talked about that. So how you decide to do that, you need to start thinking about that. I would hope that our field, after the first of the year, that we start seeing that filled out, how you're doing it. Website, newspaper, e-news. I'm assuming it'll be something like e-news. And I have an example. I'll put the example over there. It's very short and actually pretty well done. Okay, the rest is very similar to what you've seen. Unfortunately, they have 2 start dates. I'm not going to get into that, but the start date is when it starts, and unfortunately, it's in 2 spots of this. If you turn it over, same thing, you've seen this before, right? What's different for new water is for those that are a treatment facility, item 10. Item 10 is now, if there are, and Dwayne helped me with this, is if there's basement backups in the area of the SSO, it needs the number needs to be put on the form along with the locations, correct?
Yes.
So for new water, who else is another plant?
So that, what if it's not on theirs? What if so like if the city of Green Bay happen to have their basement backups near an interceptor for new water, then they would have to report from the city of Green Bay's basement backups?
Oh, well, I'm sorry, new water, but same thing, sorry, this would apply to a satellite too, right? You have a manhole overflowing in the street.
So that would be, if it happened, sorry if I'm picking on Green Bay, but if it was a city, then it's a city's responsibility.
It's the owner of that collection system. So for the satellites, good point. The satellites, if you have a manhole overflowing and it's because of your sewer line and it's backing up into 4 basements in that area, same area, those have to get reported. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Those have to be put on here too. You put 4, and you list the residences. There's another manhole in town, on the other side of town, another form comes in, right? Same thing. And that's new. So please don't forget that, and then have it signed. Any questions on it? If you do, just give me a call. My card's there and my name is there.
Does the form provide for a situation where the regional system has an overflow, but then there are basement backups nearby that are in the satellite system? So different entities.
I don't think that that's an appropriate report responsibility for the downstream to report basement backups, miles away. I mean, if there's an overflow in the new water interceptor somewhere down here and the basement backups are in Pulaski, I wouldn't expect new water to be reporting basement backups because the interceptor or the force main, whatever comes from Pulaski, had an overflow event. So again, we tried to, the concept was that if you have an overflow, like a manhole overflowing, and upstream of that manhole within some reasonable distance there were basement backups, well, that's gonna tell us something about what's going on in the system. That's gonna tell you something about what's going on in the system. So that if we get to the point of arguing or discussing the issue of basement backups and what the cause might be, you can relate those things together perhaps, and that would be a precursor, for example, to the agency requiring a CCAP or to taking an enforcement action or something like that. So again, best judgment would prevail in those cases.
But again, basement backups are not reportable unless they're associated with an SSO.
That's
nearby.
correct. That's correct, except as part of the CMAR, which has been part of the CMAR reporting that's in the past. So you don't have to fill out, just again, to reiterate, don't fill out the form that Jack just talked about for basement backups if there was no SSO associated, or overflow event associated with it.
Everyone do that? And then a good lead in, last point, I'm down to 15 minutes. Maybe if I talk long enough, I don't have to do anything. Well, I want to make sure we cover all this reporting piece. The CMAR, when you talked about, you won't get any points now for an SSO. But when you see the CMAR next year, I want to tell you what to expect. Everyone knows about a CMAR, right? So now what will happen is, no points, they'll still be listed, just like you've seen in the past. And if they're listed, if there's even one listed, there'll be a comment field, that's going to have to be filled in. It's going to be mandatory, you won't be able to validate it. You could repeat things that you put on this form, if you want. Second thing is the resolution. Even if you get an A in the collection system piece, or a B, that box will be yellow under the collection system. Why? Only if there's an SSO, right? So you're going to have to, again, what actions, Dwayne mentioned what actions you're taking for those SSOs. And if there's let's say, force main broke, main B, we're going to replace the force main in the next couple of years. But what I'm saying, even though it's an A or a B, that you're going to have to fill in that field too. Okay? We'll cross that bridge, what, in next May and June. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, let's do this. Some of you have seen this talk. Jeff, I know you have. Some of you have heard this. I'm going to go through it really fast. There's one section I want to concentrate on, though. Let's just go through those first slides. Yeah, let's get this down. So, yeah, these are extreme examples. Do I really need a CMOM? How many of you have on the satellites? I should ask, do any of the satellites have CMOMs pretty much set up right now? Yeah? Great. So this will be pretty easy then to get done by, what, August 1st, 2016. I guess that's the other thing. I want to recommend that you don't wait till April 2016 to try to do this. That wouldn't be a good idea. Because there's a lot of pieces here. It's kind of like some reports within a report. Okay. I don't need no CMOM. Keep going. Next one. Okay. Go back to that last one. And I know this is an issue. There's limited dollars in a community. Some people do have, there's some financial issues on putting a CMOM together, but hopefully over the next 3 years you can look at the budgeting aspects of that and what you need to do. And I think Dwayne hit upon the point though, it's not just having this book and then it's on the shelf. It's really, I think the term is a living document, a dynamic document. And that's the annual audit part of this, and we'll get to it. So if it does rain again, hopefully you'll have a good CMOM in place. And I use these just visually. You all know whether your sewer system looks like this, out of sight, out of mind, or like that. Or hopefully basically CMOM will get it like that. I'll go back to that one. I gotta put Dwayne's face in here. Some people want to put mine. Dwayne, somehow I gotta use paint in order to get that done. So I want to just go back to that one. The one visual in this that I really like about this image is that it's really a team effort. So your sewer system really takes, I mean, so many people, right? From the clerk to all the people, the governing body, to all of you, though, really, that are out there every day in the system. And working on all aspects of your sewer system, lift stations, siphons if you have them, manholes, televising, cleaning. Okay. So putting together a CMOM program piece by piece. Don't go anywhere. I want to mention the real training in 2014 and into 2015. I'm going to be doing much more detailed training on each one of these pieces, on each component. And in different parts of the state and at WWOA meetings, and that will be, literally, that will probably be at least 4 hours. So we'll go from 10 to noon, take a break for lunch, and then go from 1 to 3. And we're going to go through all the components and what it really means and what we're looking for. You saw this is, I just want to point out, this I handed out to you, and just a couple things here is that for your governing officials, there's 2 videos, and actually Dwayne's immortalized. He did both of these. They're very short. Why CMOM? It's 11 minutes. Still pertinent. It was done a bunch of years ago, but still good. And then what's in a CMOM program? That's 17 minutes. So you can direct your officials to those 2 short videos, the booklets on the website, the 5-day written report. That form is here. And if you open this up, it'll be a fillable PDF. If you want to see the code itself, and especially the CMOM elements, and I recommend you do, the booklet pretty closely, Dwayne and I worked together. The booklet came out first, but I was on this work group with the SSO group. So the components in the code itself, 210.23, is where it's in the code, and I suggest you all look at that. Make sure that you do look at that, not just the booklet. Okay, next one. That's where it is. Click on it and bring up the whole code, by the way, too. You can look at all of it, at least the 210 piece. All my articles from back in 2009, 2010 that were in the clarifier on each of the components, there's 8 of them, are here, and they're short. They kind of talk about it a little more. And then I wanted to mention the booklets here again. If you want to even go beyond that booklet, which is more of a, just so you know, a baseline template. It's like the minimum. Of course, there's, I think hopefully most of you know, EPA has their self-assessment checklist and a guide for evaluating CMOM programs. So if you click on those, it'll bring up the EPA guidance and documents on there. They're long, they're very detailed, but there may be some good information in there for you to, that you may feel may be appropriate for your program. And then we have a really nice reference site. And one of them, of course, but there's a lot of great references on collection system O&M programs from the Sacramento